All right. So far we have been discussed about what is Salesforce. We know how to write the class now, how to execute the class, how to create a methods, how can we pass the arguments to the methods, how can we declare the variables, and we know what are the data types. We have been seeing the primitive data types, right? Uh, what are the primitive data types? Like it could be string, integer, decimal, date time. Those are all the primitive data types. And we have seen about the other data types like array objects. Okay, so we have been seeing what are the array objects we have seen. We have seen the string class, or array object can hold any bunch of primitive data types. So that is like a collection. So we have been seeing about the collections. Okay, so similarly we can have we can create a collections. Collection is a list. Okay, it's an array of primitive data types. Okay, it's not just array of primitive data types. The array can also hold some other data types. Okay, we'll also see what are those data types. When you're talking about the array or the collection data types, let me switch to the Salesforce here. Login.salesforce.com. When we are talking about the collections data types, we have been seeing the arrays. So we also need to learn about a couple of other data types in terms of arrays. In the last class, whatever we have seen here in the developer console, if you can see here, so we have seen the list. Okay, so it can have the list of string data type. You can replace this with integer. So we have seen through some of the exercises by updating the values and all that. So this is how you pump the data to the list, and we have the iteration loops to get the data from the list. Basically it's an array of one. So okay, we think about people standing in the queue. We call it as hey, whoever is standing in the line number for standing at the 5th position, come forward, which means that 1 2 3 4 5 fifth guy will come out, something like that. We say whatever the position of the item in the list, we can iterate. If you see here, we have been printing the names in the position 0 1 2 3 4 5 6, something like that. So we don't want to keep on moving. Even you can put like 100. What is it going to give? The rest of the items it's not going to pull, and it is going to have the null values because this list has only 3 items. Okay, so that is why we put like size. We can iterate only up to the size. When we say list.size, it gives the value of 3 or 2, or when it starts with 0 0 1 2. So it loops through only 3 times and then printing the names. Okay, any questions on this list and iterations that we discussed last class before we move forward? Okay, cool. So with additional to the stuff, we also have 2 more lists like set and map. Okay, we'll be going through this set and map when we through the exercises. When we go through the exercises, will be that is also the same concept. It can have the bunch of items in it, and it will have the ordered list or unordered list. You can have you can sort it out, and some arrays cannot hold the null value. Some arrays can have only the unique values. So those kinds of things are also the list, the array list, or like the collections. So when we're talking about the progressing through the Apex classes, we'll be going through the more 2 different arrays or the collection objects, which are the set and map. Okay, one more data type that we need to talk about is, so this is also a collection. So this is on hold, and then we'll be talking about as we progress through the program. Okay, and we'll be talking about the difference and all this. All right, so there is another data type called S objects. This is more important, very important, is a S object. Okay, remember when Srinath or Jitin, somebody was asking a question like, okay, can we have multiple values into the array? I said no, because when you are declaring the list, you are telling that, oh, this list called names can only have string. So it can have only You can put like bunch of strings in the list called names. But we have a scenario. For example, I want to get the information of Srinath, like name Srinath, first name, last name, and his gender, male, his age 25, and he's living in this address, he's living in this pin code, all those things, right? So everything is together is called as the object. What is object? Now we know what is object. Object is the copy of the class. Okay, object is nothing but a copy of a class. And for example, Srinath is one object. It made out of a class called contacts, right? For example, if you see here, when we go to the sales app, this is the sales app, right? So we created an object called contacts. We can have hundreds of contacts in it, right? This is the table. Now we as an admin know how to create an object, right? Contact object, which will have the bunch of fields. So when you look for new contact, see here, we are providing like, what is the phone number, what is the name, what is the first name, last name, what is the account name, what is the title, what department he's working, what is his birth date, and he's reporting to whom. And we are all defining like, what is the loan amount he got, or like, what is his phone number, what is his email, fax, and all those things are the fields. For example, this first name will have the text string, and this last name will also have the string, whereas this phone number might be having a data type of phone, or the email might have a data type of an email, whereas the contact currency will be in the dollar, or like the loan amount will be in the currency. Okay, currency data type. The postal code will be in the number. So it's a combination of all the data types, putting together everything is in the object. Okay, so that is why it is called as S object. Primarily, its S object is called the Salesforce object. You can say it's a Salesforce object. What are the Salesforce objects that you know so far? We have been learning through all these classes, right? What are the Salesforce objects you know? We know accounts, we know contacts, we know opportunities, and we know lead, we know case, and it could be chatter, or it could be any object. Everything in the Salesforce is an object. Okay, whatever you see here, it's all the object, right? Whatever you see here, task, files, notes, these are all the objects. You can have one number of records. You can ask a question, hey Karthik, whatever that we are displaying in the tabs, is that an object? Okay, now we know two types of objects, right? One is the standard object, the other one is the custom object. One is the standard object, the other one is the custom object, right? We can define the S object could either be standard object, or it could be custom object. Now we know the difference between the standard object and custom object. That will be one of the interview questions. Whatever it's out of box, somebody will ask, hey, can you name few standard objects? These are the things I said. These are all the standard objects. Okay, custom object is something you create an object and you put your own fields. That's called the custom object. That comes as part of the admin. As an administrator, know how to create the objects and how to create the fields into the object, right? For example, it could be a car. Car has its VIN number. Car has its license plate number. Car has a model. Who is the make of the car? What is the make of the car? What year the car is? Is it has a sedan or hatchback, or it's a V6 engine or V4 engine type. So all those things are the properties, are the elements of the object. Those are all called the fields. So as I told you, it could be a combination of various data types. That is called the object. So that is what in Salesforce it's called the S object. Okay, every record in Salesforce is natively represented as an S object in Apex. Every record, whenever we want to deal with a record, it is called as an S object. Okay. It could be account record. As I said, Srinath could be a contact record, everything. So now you know what is object, standard object, custom object, fields. Every record of that object is called the S object. Okay. Now, you know what are the standard objects and custom, what are the standard objects that is available in the system. Okay. Let's see, like there is a scenario, right? They are migrating somebody, or the real-time scenario, what we are working on the real-time projects. Somebody is migrating from some other CRM or some other system to the Salesforce. And they are saying, hey, I have like 10,000 records. I have like 10,000 contacts. Could you please load that to the Salesforce? Right? It's a bulk uploader. We are loading the data in the bulk. There are a couple of ways we can do it. We can do with the admin tool called the data import, export wizard. But it has its limitations. It can do only 5,000 at a time, 50,000 at a time, and all those things. But since we are developers, there is also a chance. And they're saying that, okay, guys, when you are uploading the data, you should validate, or you should update the records. For example, they are having the contact, like 10,000 contacts, 10,000 people. They have it, they are working for a company. And they are saying they're bringing in from some other system. And they are telling you the logic. Hey, developers, the requirement is upload all the 10,000 users to the Salesforce system. While you're uploading, based on their join date, you have to calculate the number of vacation times. Okay. Or they're saying, okay, we are migrating from other system. The reason being, we acquired them. And we told them that every single employee will get 10% hike. So, but those 10% hike is not available in the source or in the data that I'm going to give. Whatever we extracted from the existing system, from the existing company. So from the existing system, they are using like Zoho CRM as an example. Zoho CRM, they have been using the Zoho. There is another CRM tool very famous in the world, and the market is Zoho CRM. And the reason why I'm making up these stories is like, whenever you are attending the interview, so what are the challenges you had? If they ask for the scenario based questions, then you can say, hey, we migrated from Zoho CRM and they gave the wrong format, and then we structured the format, and then we were able to upload. So I have worked on the data uploading. How have you done that? Okay, so we have used the Apex classes, and then we have created all the contacts. We wrote our own logic, and then we migrated those data from source to the Salesforce. The source is the Zoho CRM, and the target is the Salesforce CRM, Salesforce. Okay, they're saying like, okay, let's take an example like 10,000 employees. Everybody has to be moved to the Salesforce database or Salesforce CRM. And they're saying that, okay, this is the previous company. All those 10,000 employees or the 1,000 employees, whoever is migrated, when you're migrating, when you are migrating the users, those users will have 10% of salary hike when they are imported to Salesforce. They acquired from some other company. Across the board, 10%. Or there could be even a complex logic based on the role. If the role of the user is this, then put like 10%. If the role of this user is if they are coming from sales department, you give 5% hike. If they are from delivery department, you put like 15% hike. If they are from HR department, give them 3% of the hike. That could be some logic or manipulation, right? So now you can connect these dots. I told you in the very first class, all of these things will be done by the controller, right? And then the controller will do this math and then putting it into the database. Okay, now we are working on the controller. A controller is nothing but the Apex programming. Okay. So our goal here is, how can we create a record using the Apex language? That's what we are going to see. When we are saying the record, it's all called as S object. There is a data type. The data type called the data type that we're talking about is the S object data type. When somebody is asking you a question, what are the data types that you know in the Salesforce? You have to say primitive data types, collection data types, yes object data type. Okay, we'll be seeing one more data type, I'll tell you. Okay, and then the yes object data type is nothing but whenever you're specifying as an object, you know what is object. We'll have the multiple fields with each individual data, different data fields or data types. Okay, those are the fields. Now let's go and see how can we create using the data type as object, or using the how can we create the records programmatically. That's more interesting. So we are progressing towards the little bit of complex steps. Okay, and we still need to talk about set and map, and we also need to talk about the decimal date and everything. So whenever we are moving through the programming, we'll be going through a lot of data types. Okay, whatever, we don't want to spend time each individual data type as exercise. When you're writing a bigger class or bigger program, everything will come together, bundled together. We'll mix everything together. Okay, all right. So the S object. All right, let's go to the Salesforce. What will the administrator do? Administrator, I'm saying, hey, can you create an account? Can you create an account? If you tell the administrator, what will they do? The configuration or the definition, what they will do? They will go and create a new account, and they will say my account name is like test account 1, and they'll fill all the mandatory fields. For example, gold, and then their expiration date is this, serial number is this, and then save. So you have to, are they active? Yes, they're active account. Okay, this is the field. Okay, phone number 331. I think I made this phone number mandatory for Srinath when we are talking about the validation rules. But Srinath, I hope you remember this, how to create the validation rules, because this is not mandatory, but programmatically, the configuration I was teaching you about how to make this mandatory. Technically, this is not mandatory. The field is not mandatory, but through the validation rule, we were updating. Okay, hope you remember that. Okay, cool. So I am saving this information. Storage limit exceeded. Okay, I think in this organization, I was able to getting the storage limit got exceeded. Okay, let's go and give me 1 second. Okay, so I need to clean up some data here. I'll clean it up. Okay, the data storage is 10. Okay, the email messages and all that. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll go and delete some of this data. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so our goal is like, okay, so if you give this to administrator, like, the administrator needs to go and create an account. So what will they do? They go here and then they create a new account, and then they will do all this, right? But we as a developer, that's not our way of doing things. Okay, we don't want to use this. This is like doing the things manually to the configuration. Like, how can we just go and do manually, like one after another of 10,000 records? That's not possible. Or like 100,000 records. We have to work in like 50,000 records, or like 100,000 records, or 1 million records. It's a huge data, right? We will not be able to do it. So we have to do it programmatically. How can we do it programmatically? We have to write the Apex code. Okay, let's take a look here. We go to the developer console. Okay, and then like we go to the file, new Apex class. file new apex class. So we are learning about the apex class. Okay, you can even name your apex class whatever we want, and we are saying that I'm naming it like, for example, create object or create account, whatever it is, create account object, something like that. Okay, this is the class. Okay, or very simple way of doing things, you don't even need to have a class. Okay, it's either way you can do it. I'll tell you. You go here and then open the anonymous window. Okay, like for example, here you're going to write your class, you write your method, and then you're going to trigger it from here, right? On the other day, Jatin was asking one question like, hey, okay, if you don't have your code, what does it? Doesn't do anything, right? It doesn't do anything. But think about it. You can even write your own piece of code here. We are not going to create any class, or we're not going to create any object. A simple way of creating, for example, I want to create an account. This is the account, right? Account object. You know how to create the object, right? Account. Okay, even before that, account, okay, ACCT equal to new account. Any question in this? We have already discussed class name, object name equal to new of the class name, account ACCT equal to new account. This is going to be the object. You're creating one object. Any question? So this is called the S object. This is called the S object. Whenever I say S object, there is no such thing called like, hey, you can declare like S object, yes, obj, or like any object, not like that. Okay, we are calling this as a S object. Okay, we are calling this as S object. And what are the things that you need to go know? Like when are you going to create a new account, you need to know the fields, right? You need to know the fields. Okay, not to know the fields, like, you always go to the admin setup, you go to the object manager. This is how the developer will do. This is how I do when we do the development. Okay, we are dealing with the account and fields and relationships. What are the fields that is available? Let's take like a name. Okay, let's take a name. Fair enough. Let's take a name. This is the label, and this is the field name, and this is the data type. The data type is like, it's just going to have a name field or text or anything. What is this, currency or anything, right? All right. So I'm going to create account. This is an S object. Object name equal to new account, and I'm saying, okay, name equal to single quotes, right? Always we represent the single quotes. Name equal to, I'm saying like, okay, Starbucks. I'm just saying the Starbucks is one of the account for us. Okay. The thing that I'm trying to explain here, we did not create any class here. We did not create any method here. You can even do it that way. I'm going to demonstrate to you both the way of doing things. The reason why I'm just writing the code here is all we need is one line of code, account name or the object name equal to new account, and then you have to give the values. That's all you need to do. You don't have to do anything else. Okay. But remember, you have to have all your mandatory fields here. As an example, if you see here, if you go to the sales app, you have your accounts. In your new account, you see it, we don't have any mandatory fields. We have only the name as the mandatory fields. We don't have anything else. We don't have anything else. Okay, I switched the org. So I was making in the previous org or previous site or account some mandatory fields here, but here we don't have anything. If you just give, for example, account name, right, as cars or cars.com, or even it could be like, a Target or Walmart, anything. I just create. This is the manual way of doing things. See, I created a Walmart, and the Walmart is created here. right? That's the way of doing things in the administrator way. Now we have to do it in the programmatic way, right? Because we are the developers. So when we go here, I created like account object name. It could be anything. Account object name could be anything. And then I said new account. This was clear. And then we are putting the field name here. What are the field we are going to deal with? We need the mandatory fields. We have the name as Starbucks. That's what we wrote. Okay. And then I'm trying to execute here. Okay. I executed. And these are the list of steps. Okay. We will go through this, like, hey, what are the things it's doing and all that. Okay. As you're progressing, okay, the limit of heap size and all those things, these are much deeper level. What is the logs? How do you see the logs? So it is coming and it's creating the bytes, and then it's creating that object, it's creating the account object, and it's calling the queries. I'll be talking to you about what is SOQL, what is SOL, and everything. So those are all, like, the future classes we'll be talking about. What is the CPU time? So these are basically to, as a developer, if something goes wrong, you have to know what is going wrong. How do you know that? We have to flow through the logs. You have to go through the logs. Okay, when I'm looking at the logs, you know what? This queries, we are executing too many queries. Only 100 is allowed. Out of 100, we are executing like 98 queries. This is not fair, man. We have to reduce the number of queries to do these operations when you write a complex logic. So that is what this log is all about. Okay, I just don't want to teach you at high level, like, how to create an account, keep moving, but I'm teaching you the concept, which will be useful for you in future. If something happens, you have to look at the logs. Okay, like, say for example, okay, so what I'm doing now, I'm going to this, I'm going to my org, okay, and I should be able to see, like, whatever the recent, or, like, whatever the recent records. When I click on the recent records, when I do the refresh, okay, I think I did a mistake, but that's fine. Account, okay, so now we are saying that, okay, the account, whatever the account that we have it here, okay, whatever the account that we created, we are just defining the account name. Okay, we are just defining the account name. We haven't done anything. We are just defining the account name. We created an account, okay, and then we did not do anything. We just created an account and then we did not do anything. Okay, the reason purposely I was going through this to show you what is the account. Did it get created? The Starbucks, whatever we created? No, it did not create. I did a mistake. What is the mistake that we did? Okay, let's take a look. I went here. This is the developer. Okay, this is the developer. What I did was, I created an object. That's all I did. How did we create an object? Account object equal to new account. I gave the name. Okay. At this point of time, the system does not know what to do with that, what to do with the object. The object is created. That's all. The object is created. Okay. That's all it knows. What are we doing with the object? I haven't created this object, or I haven't inserted this object into the system. Okay. So the next step I need to do is, I need to insert. The reason why I brought you this topic is, what is the data type? Now you know what is the data type, how to create an object. Okay. Now let's go back. I'm just going to say, okay, I have an object now. Can you please insert the object? Insert ACCT. Okay. So this insert keyword and all, it will come under the topics called DML, which is called data manipulation language. Okay, I'll be taking a separate class, or I'll be talking, the very next class is going to be the DML language. Okay, the DML language. So you don't have to get confused. I did not get that far. Okay, all I am trying to teach you, you should learn is what is S object. We are talking about only the data types. What is S object? Okay, so now I'm writing the insert. Now let me execute this. Okay. All right, I said insert. Now let me see. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize this screen. See, the Starbucks got created now. Now it is created. Previously, it was not created. So that is why I purposely went in and I showed you that it was not created, so you will never forget. Meaning, just defining the object will not do anything. You have to do something with the object. You are saying that, hey, I created an object like this. I created an object like this. Account object. New account, I'm just saying. You're just defining. You are just declaring, like, hey, this is my object. But you did not do anything with that. I executed. It got executed. But it did not create anything. In order to create that, you need to use this statement called insert. This is coming under the DML operations. Like, you can insert the record, you can update the existing records, you can delete the records, all those things you can do. Those are all like you are manipulating the data. That is called data manipulation language. I'll be talking to you about, like, what are the data manipulation things and everything. Okay. Now we're able to understand what is S object. It is not just any object. These are all the keywords. The account is the keyword. The account is an object that is a standard object, right? Similarly, you can create the records of any object that is available. For example, we go to the object manager like this, setup, we go to the object manager. And when you click on the object manager, you can see these are all the list of objects, not just standard objects. You can even create a new car. This car, or like, broker. Broker is a custom object, like _ C. You can create like favorite, whatever the property, whatever you want to create, you can use the same pattern of class, or like, the object that we created. And then you have to give the fields, and then when you insert it will get inserted. And this is called S object. S object can be any object across the Salesforce. It is for calling the object or representing the object need, right? I did not understand your question. It is for calling the object, or no, we are not calling any object at all. We did not create a class. We did not create a method. Nobody is calling nothing. This is just a pure Apex code. This is just pure Apex code. I'm writing it. The reason why I wrote without the class is I want you guys to understand that it doesn't really matter you need to have a class or anything. The reason why I told you is, remember, what is the highlight of the Apex? There will be an interview question. What are the highlights of the Apex? We did discuss about, right? See, we know as soon as we type, it is throwing to show an error. That's called type to language. This is the thing that I proved. Database integrated. We did not create any logic. I did not create any class. I did not create any method. It's automatically integrated to the database. Meaning, this one line of code. Let me close the chat. This one line of code created an object and then it inserted. I did not create any logic at all, any class, any method, any database connections, nothing. So the Apex code is inbuilt. It is always having the database connectivity. Do you understand? It's put now you create an object and then you put it into the database. That is why you are able to create. Like say for example, you can create the object could be anything. Like for example, it could be even Srinath. It doesn't really matter. This is just the name of the object. And the new account, I'm saying like instead of Starbucks, I'm going to say like, for example, let me put like 7-Eleven. Sorry. And then I'm inserting this object. Execute. Okay. Now, when I go to here, the sales app, accounts. See, I created a 7-Eleven. These are recent records, right? 7-Eleven. I created. Just now I created. So, what I'm trying to tell you here is, you don't have to have anything. I proved you that it is integrated with the database. You don't have to open anything. Just one line of code is going to insert your record. Remember, you bring everything together. You connect the dots now. You can create your class. You can create your method. Somebody can call your method and they can provide you the details, and you can have your insert statement inside your method. Whatever the data that is coming in, you can, with that data, you can create the object, and then you can put it in the loop, so you can create multiple objects. Or the people whoever is calling, they can call your method in the loop. If they are calling your method, they're having like for statement. Every time they are calling your method and they're providing your data. As soon as you get the data, you can create your object. So like this, if you put like 100 items within the loop, every time it runs, the loop runs 100 times, it runs 100 object can be created, and it created based on the information that you provide. We're able to connect the dots now with the method, passing the information, creating the object. Does it make sense, or do you want me to repeat? Like say for example, yeah, I'll open the 7-Eleven account. Yeah, this is a 7-Eleven account. Who created? We did not provide any other information. We'll be progressing now. We'll be creating. We'll be putting some other information. All we did is we just provided only the name. That's all we did. We did not create anything else. We did not create anything else. We just created only one. Now we are doing it programmatically. So, for example, let me put it in this way. So this is what I was able to providing you. Database integrated automatically. We saw like object oriented. We created a class, objects, and everything. It is hosted in the cloud. You don't have to set up anything in your computer. As soon as we type, if there is an error, it's throwing an error message. That's a typed language. This is database integrated. Now we made the first connection to the database. So far, we have been passing the value and printing it. Printing A, B, C, printing integer I equal to 10, 20, whatever. Printing the string value, whatever we are passing. Now this is the first class, or like first line that is connected to the database. So I don't want you guys to confuse that we need a class or we need a method or anything. To prove that it is database integrated, with one line of code, 2 lines of code insert, we are able to connect to the database, and it is integrated in the database, and then it is saved in the database. That is why we are able to get the see the data that is created. Is it clear? All right. We'll be talking about the unit testing and all that. Okay. So this is called the S object. S object is nothing but any object is called the S object. Whenever we are specifying the object, that is called the S object. So let's say for an example, Srinath, right? Srinath wrote a method in the class, and then it's collecting information, param1, param2, param3, whatever. And then Jitin is calling that method, and then passing the information, param1, param2, param3. Okay. So when Jatin is calling this method that whatever Srinath wrote a logic here. And then saying that, okay, I'm creating the account object equal to new account object, new account. And then he's creating name equal to whatever Srinath is providing, param1, comma, phone number or fax equal to whatever. You know how to define. You can tell that, hey, how do we know that it's name or fax or anything? That's why I told you, go to the admin. You can see the object manager, what are the fields that is available. Like you go to the admin. The object manager, you can see the what object you're going to create, and you can see all the list of fields that are available, fields and relationships. You know what are the things that is available, right? So you cannot, other than this, you cannot use anything else. This is going to throw an error because this object has only these fields. You can only create with one of these fields. And also mandatory needs to be mentioned. If you don't specify, it is going to throw an error message that, hey, mandatory field is missing. Were you able to follow me? How to create the object programmatically, how to create a record programmatically. Okay. Now let's say, for example, you want to create, let's put like number of fields, some other fields. For example, what are the things we can say? Phone. It's a different data type. Okay, different data type, phone. And we'll also take one another number. Okay, this is the phone and this is the number. Let's deal with phone and the number of employees and the phone. Okay, let's create. So we use the API name for the custom object or the custom fields. But for the standard objects, we don't use it. Standard objects all like whatever the field name. Like say, for example, this is the name that you're going to use it, right? In case if you're using the custom fields, then you'll be using this. That's why I said always use the field name. Does it make sense? Clear? Awesome. Whenever you're just doing with the field name, it doesn't really matter. Like because the custom object I told you in the previous class, the custom object, custom fields will always have __ C, which means that it tells you this is the custom object or custom field. Okay. If it is going to be the custom object, it is going to be __ C, and custom field also will have the __ C. Like for example, if you go here, vehicle, right? I think I used this to create, once I was teaching Srinath for the admin, how to create the object. See here, the API name. You cannot use just vehicle. You have to say vehicle __ C. This is only for custom object. Does it make sense? Whereas when you go for the account, see here, the API name is account. Okay. Basically, the API name, you use it. When you're talking about the field, it's a field name. When you're talking about the object, it's the API name. The API name is for the standard objects. It's all like it's name of the object itself. Whereas for the custom object, it's going to be __ C. Cool. All right. So the exercise for the next class, I want you to go and create one custom object, put 2 fields. In that way, you know how to create the object, how to put the 2 fields. It could be any data type. For now, starts with the string data type and start with one number data type. Okay. And through program, you need to create the object. You should not go and create manually. You should go and create through your Apex code. Okay. I don't want you to go and create the code like the code that I wrote. No, I don't want you to write only 2 lines. I want you to write the class and method. I'm going to show you how we can do that. Okay. It's very simple. I'm going to repeat whatever I taught you. So basically, I'm teaching you how to catch the fish instead of feeding you the fish. Okay. I taught you what is the class, what is the method, what is the argument and everything. Now you know how to create the class. All you have to do is to connect the dots. You should be able to do your programming by this time, by yourself. Creating that will give you the confidence. When you go and write a piece of class and the method and then initiate it, you will feel proud that you are able to create a record by yourself. Okay, I'm going to show you like how we can do that. And then you go home and then you just repeat this before you come into the next class. Make sure that you're creating a couple of records. You pick any object, standard object. It could be account or it could be contact, because you know how to define the object name, like the API name, right? I mean, when you're talking about the object, and also you know how to get the field name. Okay, so you can do any object or any fields as you wish. Does it make sense? Is it fair? All right, cool. So when you want to write something like, for example, let me quickly write, yeah, code with some other, without we'll be writing with the phone and the number of employees, right? Okay. So let's close this. Okay, but create account object. Let's use this class. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to create one simple method. Okay. I'm saying that somebody is giving you the name. The name is going to be in the format of string, like record name. Okay. And for example, yeah, record name. They're giving you the record name. And then I'm creating like account object equal to new account, and I'm creating name equal to, so I'm just saying like, okay, whatever the name that you're providing, you can just put it here. Okay, so because somebody is going to provide us the name, and then we can put it here. And then all you have to do is insert account obj. That's it. And this is, now you know what is class, what is object, what is argument, how to create the standard object, or like the S object, how to use the S object, how to use the DML operation called insert. That's it. For now, I'm going to remove this as an example. And let's say name equal to, I'm just going to provide, like, for example, Toys R Us. And another field that we talked about is the phone, right? Phone equal to, like, it's going to be 331 245 9179. Then let us say like number of employees. Equal to 200. Example. This is not in string. Okay. That's it. Okay. Now in this case, I have to just, what you have to do, you just need to call this method. That's all. The rest of it all will be done by itself, right? Because the flow comes to this method and then method will do this. Okay. I did not put the static keyword, so I had to create an object. I have to create it. If I don't put the static, I have to create an object. In case if I put the static, the scope is already available. I don't have to create the object. I can just call it with this class name dot method name. We did discuss in the past class, correct? Okay. So now we covered everything. Now slowly we are progressing. We know how to create a class, method, passing the arguments, creating the object. I go here, and then I'm going to delete everything because this logic went here. Now say for example, Srinath wrote this logic, and this is Jatin. Jatin is calling like, okay, so hey Srinath, I'm going to call this and pass this information. This will be a separate module. Okay, like dot, or I can even create without the static. If I just delete the static, it's going to be like create object equal to new create account object, right? This is how we create. This is an Apex class. And then we say create object dot create account. We are calling this method. Variable does not exist account object. See, it's throwing an error. Why? Here is an account object in the line number 5. There is no such thing called. So we created like this, and then we used account object. There's a typo. Copying and pasting it here, saving it. The reason I do this is like, you can by looking at this, you can see I don't want to copy the code from somewhere else. I don't want to walk through the PowerPoint presentations. I don't want to copy the existing code that is already working and then putting it here. We want to write it from scratch. That will give you the lot of errors, and even it is telling me like, and then teaching you like, how to fix those errors. Now we saw that, the variable name, and then you're using this. Okay, cool. And then all I'm doing is creating the class. From the class, I'm creating an object, and then I'm calling this method. That's all. All right. And then you can put all the statements in this class. It created successfully. After this, you can put like system.debug created successfully, blah 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 blah. You can do whatever you want. Okay, the logic here is this is what we did. Now let's go back to the sales app. And see the accounts. See, Toys R Us got created, and now it got created with the phone number that I gave. And if you go to the details, you can even see number of employees 200. Okay, now think about it at a little higher level, complex level, passing those values, all of these values from here, right? From somebody is calling this method by passing these values. This is what I'm explaining you to do as a homework. Oh, Srinath is telling his Wi-Fi is resetting itself. Oh, did we lose him? Okay. Anyways, Jitin, are you there? Right? You there? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So everybody there. Okay. Cool. All right. Cool. So what we need to think of connecting the dots. Since we know class, we know methods, we are passing an argument, we know how to create the object and everything. So now everything is hard coded here. This is called hard coded. We are hard coding the value. But if you pass it here dynamically, whatever the information that you pass it here, you can get it created, right? All you need to do is like, is you just have to put the values dynamically. Okay. Let's see how we can do that. Okay. Now, okay, let's take a look. Okay. Alternatively, like, you can even either create like this. Alternatively, what you could do is, for example, right? I'm saying string name integer number of EMP employees. Okay. So I'm just passing these two arguments as an example. What we do, we have to match the signature. Otherwise, it will throw an error. The signature doesn't match. If you just execute, it's going to throw an error message. unexpected token. Okay. We don't need this here. We don't need this here. Okay. We're just passing the value. Sorry. Oh, Command Z. Okay. We're just passing the value here. I'm creating another account like Coles. And then I'm creating number of employees. I'm passing it as 100 employees. Okay. I'm just passing this values. I mean, you can do all this gimmicks. I can have like, string ACCT name equal to Coles, whatever. It's all the same. I'm just going to use ACCT name here passed. Number of employees integer will be 200. You can pass it here. So those are all, we already have seen multiple times. We don't want to waste time there. I'm just passing the values. That's the whole idea. And then I'm getting here string name, comma, integer, emp count, something like that. Okay. So I'm calling this two and I'm passing these two things. And what I could do is I deleted here. Now you created an object, fresh new object. Okay. And then I'm saying you can put a dot notation with the field. Whenever you want to represent the field, there is other way of doing it. Dot name. This is called the account object and this is called the field name. Remember we saw in the admin, what are the field name, list of field names that is available. That is equal to this name. You can put it here, right? String. And you can put another field dot, for example. See, it's giving everything. See, it's very easy, right? Now it is giving everything. When you put that object, it's giving everything. What do you want to put? Number of employees, right? We have the number of employees. Number of employees. See, this is the integer. Number of employees equal to emp count, right? And we did not pass one more value. For example, the phone number, or you can even pass anything that you want. For example, I want to put like phone number here. Account object dot phone, right? Or like, you can, whatever the fields that you want, you can put it. Okay. It could be anything. So you can even pass as many as you want. And then when it comes here, you can just save it. What I'm doing is now the concept here is I create an object and with the dot notation, I have to explain you dot, just not that you have to put it in the bracket. You can also specify a dot notation, object dot field name. Okay. And then you are inserting it. So I'm passing the value from here. Okay. Now let's see how this works. Okay, it got executed. Now let me go back here. Account. See, I created a Coles. We created a Coles right now, right? I gave the Coles. And the reason was, I did not put any phone number. We gave only one thing that's called the employees 100. This is exactly what we provided. Our class is getting the information dynamically and then creating the object. And then inserting it here. Does it make sense? What is S object? How we can play around with the S object? This is what in the real time it is happening. It will happen in the bulk. In sense like, more count, the huge data, the number of data. But this is called the S object. I want to explain you what is S object. Now we learned what is class object, passing the argument, creating an object, defining the object, and then creating the record. And couple of ways to create, right? You can even put it, this is called the constructor, which is called the constructor, the class name itself. And then you can create within the constructor, or you can even use the dot notations. Is it all clear? Now we know how to identify the names, how to use the API name in the class for the custom objects, how to use the field name. In the custom fields, you have to use underscore C, but the concept is use the API name here in the object when you're representing the object name. And when we are representing the field name, you have to use the, when you are representing the field, you have to use the field name. It is applicable for both standard object as well as the custom object. And then you can pass the arguments, you can create it wherever you want. It's all, you don't have to create any database connections. You don't have to open up anything. It's all bundled by itself. Is everything clear? Okay, cool. Can we move on to the next data type, the one last data type that I want to explain? Perfect. So I really want you to do this. So if you just do this, we have covered like whatever we have covered in all the classes, you should be able to do, and then write your own code and then create multiple objects, create objects, and that will give you the confidence. Okay. You should be able to answer all the questions. Even I'm giving the real-time scenarios. What is the highlight of the apex? What is S object? And one more interesting thing, the data type is called ID. Another data type is called ID. There is an ID as a data type. Data type called ID. Okay. So I don't know if everybody will know. The experienced people in Salesforce will get to know. By looking at the ID, anybody can tell what object is that. For example, account, right? Account will always starts with 001. Let me tell you here. If you see these accounts, you see here, this is the unique ID. Remove this meeting here. Yeah, at the bottom. Okay. So when you see here, your account will always starts with 001. When I'm trying to pull Toys R Us, as an example, right? This is the Toys R Us, right? Okay. As a developer, you should know, like, what are the things that you can identify. Okay, give me 1 second here. See here, this is like N6001. Okay, 3BQAB. See here, this is like DNGDIQAT. This whole ID is, this is the ID. By just giving this ID, when we are progressing towards the next class, I'll be teaching you about DML. What is DML? How can we now, create? How can we update the record? How can we delete the record and everything? When you're writing the query, how to write the SQL query? What is SQL query? What is SOQL? What is SOSL? I'll be teaching you all these things. Maybe in the next class. So there you can see, like, when I'm querying the object, you should be able to see, like, by looking at the ID, you can see it. So literally, this ID is the ID of this record, Google, right? At the same time, this is an account, right? Contacts, if you see the contacts, I don't know, most people will know this or not. The contacts will always have 003. Anytime, if you look at any contacts, so we have only one contact so far. When I click on that, you can see 003. Okay. And when you see the contacts, or like, when you see the campaigns, like, we don't have any campaigns here. Okay. We don't have any leads. Okay. So I'm going to switch to the other account where we have more data, like contacts, right? Any contact, like Andy. See here, 003. hopped on 003. So by just looking at this itself, people will be able to tell what object is that. Because architects or anybody who are familiar with the Salesforce, they will say, hey, okay, this ID, I'm looking at it, and then this is an contact object. And as you progress, you will get to know what are the ID of each individual. This one is 111, 0011. Okay, if you see the lead, it will have its like 00. It will have, okay, I don't have any lead here. It's an example. Campaigns, do you have any campaigns? No. So every object, it's all defined. Like if it is if you see the reports will start with 0001, 0001. So that is called the ID. Every single record in the Salesforce will have its own unique ID. Only with that ID you can identify. Only with that ID you should be able to know, okay, this ID is being generated for this or this record. You can identify. Like say for example, how do you identify out of 100,000 employees in a company the employee ID, right? They're giving employee ID. Can the employee have the same ID? No, each employee will have only one ID. Think about the social security number. That's a unique number for every single person in the country. By just looking at the social security number, they will tell that this is the person, right? Like that, if you want to identify any single record, you have to identify based on the ID. ID is one of the data type. Okay, like let's see here. System.debug. All right. So hey, give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so debug. Okay, I'm just going to create goals. Instead of goals, I'm going to create like, as an example, Under Armour. Okay, that's another account. I put the debug statement, right? See here, ID of the name that I'm creating, Under Armour, is this one, right? This is the one, right? Like it starts with 0011 because this is an account object. It ends with QAB, 5M QAB. Okay. Let's go to the account. I think I switched the org. Here is Under Armour. Okay, you see here 0011 5M QAB. You see it? This is exactly I'm printing 5M QAB. So we have another data type called ID, which is more important. When you're writing a complex logic with number of 100 lines of code, in order to specify or pick one object, you have to always specify, like, okay, this object.id, you can get the ID of the particular object. See, when I'm inserting this object, I know that what is the, after it's creating only you can get it. You cannot print it here. If you're printing it here, it will throw a null value because the ID is assigned only after it's created. Okay. As after the employee is joined the company, you can give the employee ID. Before joining that, you cannot give the employee ID, right? The same logic. Once it is created coming into the database, only then it will have the unique ID, and then I'm printing the value here. So ID is another data type, object.id. The reason why I'm saying the ID is you won't be able to see these things in the admin. For example, let's go to the setup, and then object manager, account, fields and relationships. You see it here? Do you see anything called ID here? No. Okay, because that is applicable to any object across the website, across the board, across the org. It could be any object, standard object or custom object. You'll always have ID. So with the field name, but there is an ID. The ID itself is one of the data type. Does it make sense? Is everything clear? Do you have any questions so far? Can we create ID starting with 001? No, ID is something the system is generated. Okay. Yeah, ID is something based on the object the system is generated. Okay. All right, with this, I'm going to wind up this class. And then the next class will be talking about DML, the data manipulation language. Okay, so I think I did a small mistake here. Let me see. ID, account ID equal to this is what the right explanation would be. This is how I should have explained to you. But since I made a mistake, or like it's not a mistake, since I explained in a different way, now you can get a clear understanding. I said ID is a data type. You should have asked a question that how can we declare as a data type like string? We declare a string, right? So for example, string, data type name, integer, data type, this one, right? S object, everything we called as, there is no such thing called S object. I explained to you that any object, custom object or standard object or all, any object that is specified is explicitly called as S object. When I say ID as a data type, you can save the ID of any value to the data type ID. And then I'm printing the variable. So the variable that was declared as the ID. Got it? So now I'm going to run this code and I say like, instead of 100 or per Nike. Okay. See here, Nike will be created, and then the Nike is created with this ID, 6LQAR. Okay. The concept here is ID is a data type. This is how I can prove that ID is a data type. I did not put integer, or I did not put any string. So ID itself is a data type. That's how we declare the variable, right? ID, variable name. Data type, variable name. String, variable name. Data type, variable name. And then I'm storing this ID into this account ID, and then I'm manipulating it. Is it clear? Now, is it clear that ID is a data type? This gives more clear explanation of ID as a data type rather than I'm just printing it here. So you don't know that it could be a string or anything like that. So I just want to prove that it's an ID. That's why I put like data type as ID. Cool. All right, guys. So I'll be sharing this video, converting this recordings, and then we'll be sharing it. Whatever the exercises that I told you, create custom object or a class, custom, and then create a class method, pass an argument, whatever we thought, then you'll get a confident about class, object, arguments, creating the object and everything. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you in the next class. Yeah, bye.